What's up? What's the word?
My thing on the backstory for people who are watching, Angel Reese been getting hard fouls. Caitlin Clark, they've been bullying her.
Right.
Angel Reese didn't bully Caitlin Clark the last game on the first, which was busting.
I was in the building. I was in the building. Yes, sir.
So we was talking about this. So it's all been over the news, so we don't really got to cover what happened. But I want to shift the conversation to this. So we was talking about like the next steps for it, right? So I was my take on it. One thing I don't want to see a situation where Caitlin Clark comes out and say like, "Yo, I've been getting bullied. This is messing with my mental health, and it's making me feel some type of way." And I don't want to see a campaign surrounding that, right?
Right.
And my take is that if the WNBA does that, and that comes a thing, like they do a campaign around that and like her mental health and like being too physical and stuff like that, I am not supporting this league ever again.
Why not?
Because I feel like it's too much stuff that's taken away from what it being sports, right? And that's a part of sports. And just because she's your cash cow and just because she's bringing all this attention to her, this is how you choose to. And not even that, like, also think about the narrative around women and when it comes to competitive sports and things like this, that's something that's broad and physical. It's a lot of people that is against women playing sports or being in physical activities this way. So when it comes to like boxing, MMA, it's a lot of people out there. Me, I'm on the narrative side where I support the women. That's what they want to do. I support it. I watch it, no matter the gender. But with that being said, we know what comes with. If you're a sports, you know what comes with sports. If we're gonna make it junior neutral, we're not gonna be biased, or we're not gonna show favoritism to men or women. You know what comes with it, and what comes with it is physicality. And if you're gonna start crying about the physicality, that plays into that narrative of those that says that women shouldn't play sports. When it goes to that narrative when they say, "Oh, you scratch your knee, oh baby, I gotta get you because you're a girl, but if you're a guy, you gotta stand up." In sports, it's like, yo, if you scratch your knee, you still gotta get up. We seen Love and Basketball. Monica her whole face up. She had to get up and go hoop. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but Caitlyn hasn't started crying yet, right?
That ain't the point. You know she hasn't, but that's not.
Has she started crying yet?
Nah.
She has not started crying yet. Okay, I'm just asking a question.
Her
so
press conference, that little press conference, I don't know if y'all seen it, but her response to it was like she was kind of like down and out on one of them press conferences about like the physicality. Like she wasn't like, because Angel Reese responded was like, yo, like I'm a rookie in this league. This is the type of stuff I'm gonna have to get. They're gonna give me these type of fouls, and I just got to get up and keep going. Angel Reese responded to that.
But if Caitlin Clark did cry, just because she's showing a little bit more emotion in her reaction, I don't think that makes her less of a good sportsman.
Okay, so one.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say so one. Caitlin Clark is built different. We're not gonna see that. If you are just becoming like aware of Caitlin Clark's game, like yeah, some of it might be jealousy, some of it might be she's the tip of the spear when it comes to the women's movement, but there's people that have been behind her for years and years and years. But make no mistake about it, the league is gonna go as Caitlin Clark goes. But not only that, but she's a tough basketball player, not a tough female basketball player. None of the caveats. She's a tough player. Her father, her coaches, her team around her, they've developed her and helped her build that toughness in her that makes her that competitor. That's why she went to back-to-back national championships, once against Angel Reese and LSU, once against South Carolina. I wouldn't be too much worried about it. I think a lot of what's being discussed in the media is kind of like a forced situation, and we all kind of just need to step back and just appreciate the competition. But I did want to bring something up while we got it. It's real quick, Cody. Just speaking to what you were talking about, did y'all see Bob Costas and Kerry Champion on CNN on Abby Phillips' show at all?
I caught a bit of it. I didn't get a chance to watch the full clip, but can you lead away on it? Yes.
So I got a 30-second clip that Bob Costas had a theory on why this is being covered a certain way. I'm gonna play it real quick.
There was an incident recently. Alyssa Thomas, who happens to be African American, grabbed Angel Reese by the throat and threw her to the floor. Flagrant 2, ejected from the game. The reason why that doesn't spark as much conversation isn't just that Caitlin Clark is a bigger star than Alyssa Thomas. It's because it's a black-on-black incident,
Wow.
and you don't have
And
that dynamic that people can comment on, yes, but also exaggerate and make the entire story sometimes.
Y'all heard that, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of comparisons are being made to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark coming into the WNBA as the equivalent of when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson came in the 70s. So where it's becoming a more polarized conversation where we're looking at a situation where a black athlete and a white athlete are being treated differently in the respective sport. Both great, both have accolades, both decorated players coming into the league, but just swaying opinions one way or the other, where if you kind of support an Angel Reese, you almost by, I guess, secondary reaction have to not be a fan of Caitlin Clark. It's almost like pitting a rivalry, a manufactured rivalry, if you will. They're both great players. I think the conversation behind the fouls and the this and the that, I think a lot of it is we just a little too close to it instead of just stepping back and letting them hoop. Both of them are competitors. Both of them are not having the greatest starts to their careers, right? And then this is the first time that they're really getting into losing like this. They haven't lost like this in a long time. So we got to understand, if you're a true competitor at the core of it, it's going to bother you. Your body language is going to be different in press conferences. You're not going to want to talk to people. You're not going to want to be available. Angel Reese got ejected last night out of the game. And I guess we're going to talk about that a little bit. Charles Watson, who was the referee for the game last night, they played the Liberty. Angel Reese got ejected for what might have seemed like a ticky-tack, like something that wasn't even worth acknowledging, right? But it's starting to feel like because her name is Angel Reese, she's going to get
They gotta make a statement.
They can make a statement. Versus if it was somebody else, they're gonna let that rock, they're gonna let that flow. And Charles Watson is not.
Do you think that because Angel Reese is so vocal about not being as emotional of a player as other people and standing her ground on things that happen and saying, well, this is just sports, this is basketball, I'm here to play, I'm here to learn. Do you think that comes, because I know refs play the game just like everybody else play the game. So do you think that comes off to other people in the organization as far as like, oh, well, if she want to be the mean girl, we're going to treat her like the mean girl?
I think they're pushing that on her when she's really at the core of things. She's really just trying to play basketball. Same thing with Caitlin Clark.
I think the message is being received the wrong way. I think a lot of people is taking her saying what she says as, I'm that girl and I'm gonna do, and y'all can't tell me nothing, opposed to looking at it as she really just want to be better than what she is.
That is because it's a predisposed notion, Bree. You are absolutely correct. But because when she did this, when that made her a marked man, or that gave people something to talk about, now they're trying to dump that on her and make it stick. Like, she can't change the narrative on who she is. Just a fiery competitor, somebody that's down for her team and willing to do whatever. Nah, you the one that's the flashy one. You the hot boy or the hot girl. You the one that's always has something to say, always has an attitude. And that's not her by any stretch of the imagination.
I feel like it's not even an attitude. It's just... You
said you met her last week, right? You said you just linked up with her last week for the first time. None of those vibes you got from her.
Not at all. Even me watching like her press conferences and her doing media and stuff, like, I never get like mean girl.
Right. And not for nothing. People are trying to, I guess, paint. People are trying to paint this. I was gonna say people are trying to paint Caitlin Clark as like this super passive, prissy white girl from the suburbs that all she want to do is play basketball. Caitlin Clark be throwing elbows too. Caitlin Clark be putting people in the ground too. Caitlin Clark does a lot of dirty stuff when it's called for. It's just in the name of competition. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's not what you do, it's what you get caught doing. You know what I'm saying? If you and me rob a bank and I get caught on the fence and you don't, guess what? Do that make me and you guilty or me guilty? I'm the one that got caught. So it's not what you do, it's what you get away with. And I think a lot of the times, because Angel is so much more in the foreground because of her attitude, and Caitlin is so much more in the foreground because of her skill set, if the narratives were switched, we'd be having a completely different conversation. But again, like, Pat McAfee wasn't 100% wrong. His word choice was wrong. And I hollered at him. I was with him at the game, chopped it up with him for a little while. Him and his whole team was there. He's a big Indiana sports supporter, a big women's basketball supporter. So when he got like
the white
strong for what he said.
Yo, That was I mean, he called her. I'm giving context. He said she was a white.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, but I think the way he said it was taken out of context because that's just how people talk. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I go, oh, bro got a show, sis got a show, it's not like y'all, like, it's not meant to necessarily be directed towards her. You can't say that over FCC networks. I mean, airways, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of cursing during daytime television. Bree, you know about this. It ain't a whole lot of clowning you can do on the radio. But in regards to him trying to tell the story or give the context, because he was so in his zone of talking about it, he wasn't able to see the bigger picture, and it came out the way it shouldn't have. I don't want to blame him for what he said. I think he was giving an honest take, but it's just the setting, the network, the rules. It's certain things that you can't say in those situations.
I don't know exactly what y'all talking about,
So
but
my
anybody
first-
calling somebody
It's crazy.
on TV is insane.
He wasn't.
Anytime a man call a
Find that man.
Fair enough.
As men, like, bro, there's no way that we can get away with calling a woman in public and feel like it's gonna be cool.
Right, and
There's no way you can go about that.
for sure.
That's regardless.
This is huge.
Now, before I go to my next spiel, I want you to kind of like elaborate the context of what he was talking about for the people that want to know.
So the conversation, a lot of it has been stemming behind First Take and all of these national correspondents kind of giving their opinion on Kennedy Carter and her foul on Caitlin Clark. And they stemmed it, or they tried to bring it back towards the notion that people are jealous of Caitlin Clark, which is why they're trying to hurt her or why they're trying to like smear her reputation. So when Pat McAfee's talking about the theories behind it, he's speaking from the perspective of somebody who might be jealous of Caitlin Clark. Somebody who might be jealous of Caitlin Clark would say, I don't like this, you know what?
White B word, yeah.
Right. I don't like this B word. I don't like the fact that this B word getting all this attention and I'm not. That's the perspective that he was speaking, kind of like in a third person. Again, it wasn't the right. It was
He
the
still
point.
didn't have to use the B word,
He
but
didn't have to.
I get
He
it.
didn't
Now. I
have
get
to.
it. I get it.
He's saying what they might have been thinking, but again, he said it at the inopportune time.
I get what you're saying.
Y'all know what I?
Go ahead.
Never mind. Nah, because I was about to say something real juvenile. I'm cool.
All right. I mean, you know, that can take this show out of here. I'll be waiting.
Yeah.
You just want me to say no because y'all gonna be like Bree, no. But
400
was kinda
degrees,
like,
Cash Money juvenile. Let's hear it.
Come on.
it's very juvenile, like kitty juvenile. But when we was interviewing Matt Barnes and Stacks yesterday,
Steven Jackson,
and they was talking about Caitlin Clark and their perception of, you know, whether she's getting criticism, whether it's just a game, things like that. It just, y'all remember that movie Like Mike? It just reminded me of when Calvin Cambridge got into the league and everybody was picking on him. And he just wanted to play ball and keep his shoes on.
What?
Matt Barnes' issue was with the teammates though. How y'all gonna let y'all teammate, who's supposed to be the star of the league now, get hit, get fouled, get picked on, and then everybody just walking past like next play? If this was, and I hate to compare it to the men's league, but if it was the men's league like we talked about last week, Cody, like if you got a dog on your team, they're not having that, they're not playing that. There's gonna be some retaliation. It's gonna be, I'm gonna get my lick back one way or the other, whether I do it, whether my teammate does it. But that was what his point of contention was. Like, how y'all expect to be taken serious if y'all constantly getting pushed around? Like, y'all gonna be, if y'all soft, we gonna bully you the whole season.
I think what you said is true. I thought that everything you said is true. So I have no rebuttal with that. I think personally, I don't feel like the WNBA. This is right now is proven that the fact that the WNBA. And just not the WNBA, any growing league or any growing like entity, like you gotta prepare yourself for. And I don't think the WNBA was prepared for what Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese was gonna bring to the game. This was something that they didn't have in their bag. This is nothing that they was prepped for. This was stardom in the social media era on a whole nother level, right? Like we got prepared for like LeBron now, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we got prepared for this. You know what I'm saying? Like we got Jordan, like media wasn't in everybody's faces like that on the everyday thing, so we didn't get that. You know what I'm saying? And we haven't had a big star that type of caliber and enter no type of sports since then. This is the first time in major sports since I want to say since probably LeBron James that coming into the league, the anticipation was high. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't even think of a
1,000,000%.
quarterback. I can't think of a MLB player. Like the hype of them coming into. They tried to do it with Wembanyama, but it ain't really that. Like they tried to do it with Zion, it wasn't really that. It's like with them, like the world was waiting last year. Like and they ain't coming to the league this year. Like we was made college basketball for women so busting this past year because like shit they here. This where we at.
Exactly.
And I just wanted to say I don't think the WNBA and their team and they like I don't think they was ready for dealing with this type of exposure. And I think this is what we getting the backlash they're getting and how they handling it. They ain't ready for that, and they commissioner. I don't know who the commissioner is, WNBA, but who's ever the commissioner of this league, she needs to kind of like really take a step back and really kind of figure out what she got before you have refs kicking out your star players for tic-tac fouls, before you have all these back and forth and having these media handling these people. Like you got to really have a marketing plan and strategy how you gonna use these two. The NBA
and don't forget, in the next 2 years they're gonna have 2 new teams. When the CBA hits for the NBA and they do expansion to Vegas and Seattle, bring the Seattle teams back, we could be looking at potentially 4 more teams in the WNBA within the next 4 or 5 years. So that's just even more of a bigger situation to have to manage.
Yeah, and you got Juju coming in.
Juju, Paige, Beckers, all of them.
You got some real like the league is finna get bigger. So I think she really needs to sit down like how you have a marketing team and like she really needs to sit down and really plan out like, yo, this is how let me take control of this and this is how we finna use these 2 brands and how we finna grow this and how we finna move forward. Because if they just keep letting it be willy-nilly, you're going to have different commentators saying this. You're going to have this and that because there's no control over what's going on. So that's what I think this is going on in WNBA. I don't think they were just prepared for this. And when you want to start talking about like, and before we move on to the next topic, I want to put this out there too. When you start talking about the men and women, this I want to say like we gotta when we talking about sports, you gotta be even playing. Because I was watching Gilbert Arenas podcast yesterday. And Pat Bev said something that I'm like, when Lonzo Ball dad was pushing the big baller brand and was saying how his son was going to be better than Steph Curry and all that type of when Lonzo got into the league, everybody tried to punish him. Everybody. They was extra physical with him. They was punishing him. They was trying to make a statement, pointing at LeVar Ball, yelling at him when they did it. They made a statement. And Pat Bev said, like, yo, when I did it to Lonzo Ball, I got championship. I got applauded for it. Everybody was like, yeah. They're doing the exact same thing to Caitlin Clark, to Angel Reese. And now it was like, nah, you're not supposed to do that. Nah, this goes what I'm saying, Lottie. Like, if we gonna do this, if this is gonna be professional sports, it's gotta be sports. Take all the gender away. I'm entertaining. You coming here talking that shit. I'm a pro in it. I'm gonna let you know how this when you come here, Rook. That's what Diana Taurasi was trying to tell him. And everybody was calling her a hater. She like, nah, when y'all getting here, it ain't gonna be sweet. It ain't gonna be sweet. It ain't that.
Yeah, for sure. Word.
But,
Hey, what's up? What's the word?